We are joined now by our GTD winners here in the IMSA WeatherTech 240 at Daytona. Co-drivers at number 14, Aim Basher Sullivan, Lexus RCF GT3, Jack Hawksworth on the left, and Aaron Telitz on the right. This is Jack's third IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship win. It's Aaron's first, coming in his sixth start in the series. And this is the team's first 1-2 sweep. They went 1-3 last year at Detroit. So, Aaron, let's start with you. As I mentioned, your first career WeatherTech Championship win. How does it feel as kind of a full-time WeatherTech racer this year?
Oh yeah, obviously it feels great. Doesn't get much better than this. The Aim Basher Sullivan guys gave us a great car. Put her up in the front, managed to start on pole after one of the cars had a problem. And then it was a tricky conditions in the start of the race, and just managed to keep it on the racetrack, get a huge gap, hand it off to Jack, and he took it home from there.
Thanks, Aaron. Let's move over to Jack. Jack, just talk about certainly challenging conditions early on. Just talk about how that race played out for you guys.
Yeah, well, to be honest, Aaron did most of the hard work there at the beginning. The conditions were obviously tricky. It was really important in qualifying to start up the front, and Aaron put in a good lap and got us up there. And then those conditions, drying track on slicks, they usually suit our car quite well. We're able to generate temperature, and Aaron got a really good jump, and put a nice gap on the field. It was great to see number 12 car up there with us as well to make it a Lexus 1-2. And then once I got in at the stops, the track was pretty much dry, fully dry at that point. A couple of puddles, but nothing really on the racing line. So at that point, then for me, we already had a gap, and I just tried to maintain position, maintain the lead and bring it on. But fortunately, the Lexus RCF was working really well. And, absolutely delighted for myself, for the team, for Lexus, for everybody involved. So great job to everyone.
Thanks, Jack. Tony DeCino has a question. Again, if anybody has questions, raise your hand or let me know in the group chat and we'll get to you. Go ahead, Tony.
Aaron, for you, congrats to you and Jack. How much did your kind of past experience in mixed conditions or kind of tricky conditions help, if at all, or was it kind of a completely different animal since it's a GT car versus an open wheel car?
No, I think having lots of experience on mixed conditions in my open wheel career definitely translated here. Like Jack said, the drying track seems to suit the Lexus pretty well. We're able to generate tire temp pretty easily, even on a damp track. So just kind of played into our favor there at the start of the race. So I just had to keep it on the track, and we were just motoring ahead.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Tony. Additional questions for either Jack or Aaron? Okay, guys, congratulations. Thanks for joining us. We'll welcome up your teammates who finished second. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Congratulations. Okay, and we have our GTD class runners up. Co-drivers at number 12, Aim Basher Sullivan, Lexus RCF GT3, Townsend Bell on the left, and Frankie Montecalvo on the right. Kind of hard to tell with the masks. Townsend, I think the question on everyone's mind here tonight is how frightened were you 6 or so hours ago when you were trying to get here?
Well, I don't know if frightened is probably accurate because we had an issue in the sky. Anytime the pilot's pulling out the owner's manual, generally not a good sign mid-flight. So, it was one of those things where we could tell on takeoff, your ears, just the pressurization was kind of in and out, and you could hear feel your ears kind of plugging up and then releasing, and I could hear the pressurization fan in the back of the plane going, and I went up, talked to the pilots. I'm like, hey, they're like, we know, we're working on it. So we had to level off at like 12,000 feet while they worked on it. And then they said, hey, we're not going to be able to do this. We have to go back to Indy. And I was like, there's no way after all the effort put into this that I'm missing that race. So Jimmy Vassar and I kind of huddled with the pilot, and we came up with a plan to fly low. Only problem is when you do that, you burn fuel. So then we didn't have enough gas. So then the pilot's like, well, we're going to have to drop you guys, maybe jump on another charter. And we were like, splash and go, man, splash and go. So we had a whole splash and go strategy worked out. In the end, we were able to manually pressurize the cabin, climb to 27,000, get better efficiency. And it's a long way of telling you that we were determined to be here tonight. And I'm so glad we did, because first 1-2 for Ambassador Sullivan and Lexus, just what a great feeling.
Thanks, Townsend. Let's move over to Frankie. Just expound a little bit on the 1-2 result here for the team. Just what it means for the whole Ambassador Sullivan program, second year here in the WeatherTech Championship.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's coming out of a long break. It felt like a complete new off season to get back out here on track and just shake the rust off to come out 1-2. I mean, it was incredible. And really hats off to the guys. They made great calls going on slicks because they were bouncing back between reins, and it was really smart, really smart.
John DeGeese, go ahead.
Yeah, for Townsend, when you guys arrived into the track, were you worried of maybe getting held up in the medical check area because the track was, I think, it was shut down due to lightning and everything? Were you sort of looking at your watch and getting a little nervous, or?
No, and frankly, IndyCar and IMSA, the last 48 hours, just, so seamless. They were super organized, really easy. And candidly, if we had made it this far and we were going to be held up at a COVID check, there's no way we're slowing down. We're going to blow right through that thing. So at that point, there's no stopping us.
Cool, thanks.
To be fair, John, all he had to do was get from the backstretch into the infield.
But still, I thought if it was shut down because everything was stopped, you could have been a little.
And by the way, we landed in Jacksonville, so because of the weather, we couldn't get into Daytona. So the final leg was 96 IndyCar champion at the helm, and that was impressive. So if not one of the higher risk moments of the day, but steady set of hands, Jimmy Vasser. He brought us across the line.
Thanks, Townsend. We got one from Stephen Cole Smith. Go ahead.
Townsend, unlike some of us, this is not your first race with no fans. You've been to a few of them. Are you getting a little bit more used to it, or is it still just does it still seem kind of weird, especially when you get out of the car and you had a race like you did tonight and there's not a lot of people cheering?
It's a good question. Today really hit home, showing up at Daytona and Indianapolis, two of the most significant racetracks in the world, two of the largest racetracks in the world with the biggest attendance. And when you show up at those two facilities in the same day, it really hammers home what a unique time it is for all of us. And you miss that energy. It's kind of bizarre just doing the podium like we just did. The fans are what make this sport wherever you are. And so we miss them tremendously, and excited to get back to that just electric environment of 100,000 people or 300,000 people at the Indy 500. I miss those days and hope they're back here soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Tony DeZino.
For Townsend, thinking about the preparation for this, needing to prep your commentary work and then your driver work at the same time when you haven't raced in 5 months, how do you balance the prep on that to be able to ready to go, and especially to have what you did on the travel day and then just be like, okay, rocket, I gotta get in the car and go?
Well, Tony, frankly, I'm always thinking about the racing side. Even when I'm doing the TV, I'm looking. My job with NBC is the analyst. I'm the driver analyst, and so I'm always looking at even the IndyCar races that I call. I'm looking through the lens as a driver, and I find myself even out here tonight critiquing myself almost as the analyst. It's this weird sort of dual role. And I think it helps a lot because, I'm constantly chasing that perfect lap, just like any of the drivers, but I'm sort of thinking about, what I witnessed just hours ago with Scott Dixon winning, the precision, the consistency, the poise, and just trying to continue to improve myself. Dixon's been doing it a long time, so have I. And what I've really learned through this weekend is just how much I love racing, and I love this great industry that I'm so lucky to be in. Sure, it's a long day. Sure, it's it's hard to pull it all off, but man, it's fun, and I'm just so lucky to be able to do that. And just the first few laps here at Daytona were a reminder of how much I love racing cars.
Thanks, Townsend. Thanks, Tony. And looks like we're clear of questions, so we will let you guys work on your return home.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a few weeks at Sebring.